That ordinary beep sound you just heard is actually the final whistle of a global cyber operation where armies of AI fight in the background. Picture a regular morning at a coffee shop. You grab your latte and you tap your card or phone. It's an everyday reflex you repeat 100 times a week. But in those mere 2 seconds before approved flashes on the screen, a silent engineering battle is triggered, one that circuits the globe several times and crosses ocean floors. If just one system in that backend experiences even a millisecond of delay, global commerce could instantly paralyze. In those 2 seconds, your data teleports at such a mind-blowing speed that no matter where the system glitches, the genius design behind it fixes it without you ever noticing. Today, we are diving into that mysterious world we use every single day but know nothing about, the engine room of payment systems. What exactly happens, line by line, the moment you tap your card? Let's break it down, millisecond by millisecond. But before we dive into these milliseconds, we need to look at how these little pieces of plastic took over our lives. It all started with a story of pure embarrassment, completely untouched by technology. The year is 1950. The place, New York City. Businessman Frank McNamara is having a wonderful dinner with his associates at a high-end restaurant. But when the check arrives, he reaches into his pocket and faces the shock of his life. He left his wallet in his other suit jacket. Imagine the embarrassment in front of everyone, including his wife. McNamara had to have cash rushed to the restaurant just to pay the bill. But that humiliation triggered the biggest financial revolution in history. McNamara thought, a person shouldn't have to carry physical cash just to eat at a restaurant. A person's reputation should be able to substitute for money. And so, he and his partners founded the Diners Club. Those first cards weren't plastic or chipped like today. They were made of plain cardboard. They didn't even have numbers on them, just a signature. The restaurant owner would look at the card, recognize the customer, write the bill in a ledger, and at the end of the month, McNamara's company would settle it with the bank. That tiny piece of cardboard was the first spark of a revolution that would systematically erase humanity's thousands of years of cash habits. However, as the system grew, it desperately needed a technology to replace cardboard. And surprisingly, the music industry stepped up to the stage. By the 1970s, IBM engineers added a thick black strip to the back of the cards, the magnetic stripe. Do you know what that stripe actually was? It was the exact same brown tape found inside old cassette tapes in your home, a simple layer of iron oxide. Inside it, your card number, name, and expiration date were recorded statically, meaning they never changed, just like a song on a tape. When you swiped the card, the POS terminal read that tape. And as you can guess, this was absolute paradise for cyber criminals. If you handed your card to a clerk at a cafe or a gas station, a malicious employee could slide your card through a tiny reader under the counter called a skimmer and clone all your information in seconds. Static data is the easiest data to copy. Hackers took this data stolen from cassette tapes, pressed it onto blank plastic cards, and went on massive fraudulent spending sprees on the other side of the world while you were fast asleep at home. Just as the world was about to lose this cyber war, engineers built the most secure fortress in banking history, EMV, the tiny metal chips on your cards. This chip is not just a piece of metal. It hides a tiny computer inside, with its own operating system and its own cryptographic keys. Unlike those old magnetic stripes, it doesn't whisper the same card number to every POS terminal. Every time it touches or inserts into a terminal, it runs complex mathematical functions in the background and instantly calculates a one-time digital code, a cryptogram, created specifically for that single transaction, one that has never existed in the world before. Even if a hacker intercepts that data mid-air, it becomes absolute garbage 2 seconds later. Now that this genius chip that saved the cyber world is ready, we can start the stopwatch. The stopwatch has started. Millisecond 0. The moment you bring your card or phone close to the POS terminal, an invisible war of physics begins in the air. There is no battery inside your card, so how does this chip even power up? The electromagnetic field emitted by the POS terminal powers an invisible antenna hidden along the edges of your card. Through electromagnetic induction, the card floods with electricity within milliseconds, and the chip wakes up. It tells the terminal, "Hello, I'm here, and I'm ready." The device requests the information, and the chip instantly generates its transaction-specific encryption code. In the payment world, we call this tokenization, swapping real data with one-time digital masks. The security wall is breached, the data package is wrapped, and the signal is ready to hit the road. Millisecond 200. The encrypted data package leaves the POS terminal and shoots into the servers of the merchant's bank, known in payment jargon as the acquirer bank. Right at this point, the system hits a clever fork in the road. If the card in your pocket belongs to the exact same bank as the store's POS terminal, the system takes the ultimate shortcut. In the industry, we call this an on-us transaction, essentially an in-house operation. Your data never leaves the building. It doesn't cross oceans. Within the bank's own routing system, called a switch, it gets approved in milliseconds. This is the cheapest and fastest route possible. But if your card belongs to Bank A and the POS terminal belongs to Bank B, meaning it's an off-us transaction, that's when the global cyber war across oceans is triggered. The acquiring bank reads the data and says, "This card isn't mine. I need to ask the Visa or MasterCard network." But there is a crucial detail here. These massive data packets don't travel across the internet as random text or modern JSON formats like a regular website. Every banking network in the world speaks a shared language from the 1980s with strict military-like rules, the ISO 8583 standard. Because of this protocol, your information consists of tightly packed bits and specific fields lined up side by side. For example, a few digits at the beginning indicate the transaction type. A field in the middle carries the card number, and another holds the amount spent. No matter where you go in the world, this rigid rule never changes. Your data, packaged in this standard, shoots at the speed of light through massive fiber optic cables laid at the bottom of the ocean, teleporting straight to the core hubs of global card networks in London or New York. Millisecond 700. You are now inside the servers of the global card network. And right here, before you can even blink, AI-based fraud algorithms kick in. The system scans hundreds of thousands of transactions per second, asking questions like, "This card was used at a grocery store in London just 10 minutes ago. How is it trying to make a purchase in New York right now? A human cannot travel that fast." Or, "This user usually buys a $5 coffee every day, so why are they suddenly trying to buy a $5,000 watch?" The AI calculates your risk score in milliseconds. If there's no anomaly, it grants the visa in half a second. You may pass. The signal gets the green light, and at millisecond 1200, it reaches the database of your actual bank, the issuer bank. Under normal conditions, the bank checks two things. Is the cryptogram correct, and is there enough money in the account? But let's look at the engine room from a developer's perspective. What if, at that exact millisecond, lightning strikes your bank's servers? What if the system completely goes down? Are the people waiting in line behind you going to glare at you while the terminal throws an error? If this backup system didn't exist, a bank crash on a Friday night at 8 p.m. would mean life completely stopping at thousands of supermarkets, restaurants, and gas stations across the country. The economy would literally paralyze. But no, life doesn't stop, because this is where the most genius algorithm in payment systems kicks in. Stand-in processing, STIP. If the global card networks carrying the signal don't receive a response from your bank within a few hundred milliseconds, they notice it instantly. To keep global commerce flowing, they take the decision into their own hands. They look at your past spending habits and risk score, and they approve the transaction on behalf of your bank in seconds. The risk shifts entirely to these networks. Hours later, when your bank's system crawls back online, Visa tells your bank, "Hey, you were offline, so I approved this transaction for your customer. Go ahead and deduct it from their account." The secret to global commerce never stops for a single second lies within these hidden protocols. Of course, everything we've talked about so far happens in the physical world. But what happens when you shop online? You know that 3D secure screen that we all use and sometimes get annoyed by? That is the fiercest front line of the cyber war. When you click the Pay button online, the merchant's website throws you straight into your bank's secure firewall. Technically, this process is called three-domain secure, the three domains being the merchant, the card network, and the bank. That 6-digit code sent to your phone is actually the final fortress, proving that you are indeed the one sitting in front of that computer. The moment the bank approves the code, the transoceanic journey we just described is triggered all over again. But here is a funny truth. When you see approved on your screen, the money is actually still in your bank. Not a single cent has moved to the shop owner's bank yet. Payment systems operate in 2 stages, authorization and clearing. In those 2 seconds, you only get a promise from the bank saying, "Hold this money, we will transfer it tonight." Every midnight, all the banks in the world gather in the background, run massive blocks of code called batches, settle millions of daily transactions with each other, and transfer the funds. So those 2 seconds are actually just the preface to a massive financial operation that takes 24 hours to complete. Millisecond 1800. The approval code is received. The same monumental journey is completed in reverse, and at second number 2, the text flashes on the screen, approved. Before you can even take your first sip of coffee, the most flawlessly operating digital highway in the world has successfully completed its mission. Millions of hours of overtime spent by engineers to solve millisecond delays, run ISO standards, and write stand-in algorithms against server crashes were compressed into these 2 seconds just to make your life easier. Frank McNamara's minor embarrassment at a restaurant has transformed today into an invisible empire, processing hundreds of thousands of transactions per second. The next time you hear that beep during a purchase, remember that your data just traveled around the world and back. For tech stories line by line, don't forget to subscribe to Line by Line, like the video, and turn on notifications. See you in the next video, Between the Lines of Technology.